It's Way Up with Angela Yee. I'm Angela Yee, and it is a blessing to have somebody who is a visionary on the show. Mr. Eazi is here with us. How are you?
Zagadat Way Up with Angela Yee.
Now you
Blessing to meet you, man.
were way down. Yes, it's nice to meet you too.
Yeah,
Before you got
like
here,
late.
you were on the subway.
Yeah, as in we went to the wrong location. Big shout out to Jesse for sending us to the wrong location. But like we're in this taxi and he's looking at it, he's like, "Oh, we'll be quicker if we go through the subway." And I was like, "Are you sure we need to go through the subway?" And my assistant was like, "No, let's go." Long story short, we stopped the car like in the middle of the road, ran to the subway. And it was actually a cool
It's a good
ride.
experience if you've never done it. I feel like people always tell me when they're not from here, like, I just want to take the train one day. Did you take pictures?
I think he took pictures, but the thing is, in all those movies, you'll be seeing like they be pushing people from the subway, all the bad guys be coming to fight. Like it's just like so many bad stuff. But I think I love the subway.
I don't know about that. Let's calm down. I don't know about love.
You know how you just do things for the first time and you're like, "Oh, this is cool."
You're like, I think I love the subway.
Yeah.
I've never heard anybody say that.
And it wasn't hot.
Okay.
It wasn't hot as well.
Yeah, no, that's good. I'm glad you had an opportunity to do that just to see. And I will say it's not just in the movies. It's also in the news that you see sometimes people push people on it.
Yeah.
But all in all, you know, it does get you places faster. That's why I always encourage people.
True that. And he got us here like 20 minutes faster.
All right. Well, we like to hear that.
Wow.
Now, let's talk about your journey because I'm fascinated by you, not just as an artist, but also as an entrepreneur, a business person, but somebody who also does things to help other artists and other creatives.
Yeah.
When did you realize that was your passion?
I never wanted to be an artist. I just wanted to be an entrepreneur since I was like 15. I just wanted to be Dangote, Aliko Dangote. That's the richest black person in the world. And so that was my dream. I just want to be independent. I don't want my mommy saying, "Oh, you need to come back home. You stay in my house. I put food over your head, so you need to listen to my rules." So I just wanted that economic independence. But I started doing parties in my school, because my school was an engineering school, right? So everybody's like just focusing on work, and those parties turned to concerts and turned to festivals, raves, and I find myself in the studio because it was fun, and people start saying, "Yo, we love your music, we love your music." And next thing I know, 2015 or 16, Lauryn Hill reaches out and says, "Oh, they want me to come perform in Brooklyn, I think Brooklyn Theater. Is it King's Theater?"
Oh, King's Theater, legendary.
That's
okay.
it, right? And so I even thought it was a scam. I remember like going to the U.S. Embassy and telling the guys at the embassy, I'm like, "There's this person that's saying they're Lauryn Hill, and I don't know if it's true. Please help me check," because I was thinking maybe it's some human trafficking kind of thing or something. And they look it up and they're like, "Yeah, Miss Lauryn Hill." It's like, wow. So you're
That's
an
a
artist.
huge thing. I didn't know that happened.
Exactly. And I hadn't even decided to be an artist at that time. And so that was my first time in the U.S. Playing at King's Theater. I had no manager at the time. I just, with a guitar, coming to play, and it was so beautiful. And Miss Lauryn Hill came backstage, and it was so surreal when she came to me and she like, "Yeah, Mr. Eazi, I've been looking for you." And I was like, wow, this is crazy. And those were kind of the first moments when I realized that, okay, this is real. I'm legit if Miss Lauryn Hill is saying.
Yeah, well, I don't know too many people who have that story.
You know, and from there, I just like been going since then, since 2016.
And stayed independent.
Yeah,
this whole time.
and I just stayed independent because like I was just with Mr. Biggs. We call him Mr. Biggs, Brian Biggs from Rock Nation. I was just with him yesterday, and he was reminding me how he flew to Nigeria, to Lagos in 2016 to try and sign me. So like,
oh wow,
imagine like 2016, like I probably had only 2 songs out.
That's insane.
Like
that
2
is
hit
so,
singles out.
it makes it feel
locally.
like this is your destiny when people like that are really coming and seeking you out.
Yeah.
And you're not even, that wasn't what you were so passionate about at first.
No, that wasn't it. But I stayed independent because like I don't like to blame people. You know, it's just one thing about me. Like if I fail, I like to know that, okay, I failed. But if I feel like, it was because of this person, it won't sit well with me. And so because of that, I just want my destiny in my hand. And there's things you win, things you lose. But
it's on
for
you.
me, I just like the responsibility and the freedom to make music when I want, tour when I want, sing how I want, drop an album if I want, go on vacation if I want. like not needing to answer to anybody, especially freedom is the biggest thing for me, and that's what I've done with my music, and that's what I do with my label Empower Africa, my publishing company, same, and just keeping it in-house, keeping it 100% African.
How does that work then with Empower Africa, the company that you have, because you help other artists too, creatively to help fund their ideas? Does that sometimes happen where they blame you if things don't go right? Because that's putting them in a position where now they're like, okay, I thought we were doing this. You know, because sometimes being in that position where you want to help other people, it does make them feel like you're responsible for...
Yeah, that's happened like once. Mm-hmm. But the thing about Empower Africa is like it doesn't run like a label. I only sign artists that I think are independent in their thinking. So I say you come with your team, like we're like Uber. you get on Uber, you have your car, you're your driver, you take care of your car, but you connect to Uber, and then we provide the app, we provide the community, and that's how Empower works. So it's like I always tell them, like Joe Boy, one of the biggest artists out of Africa, up here. And I say, yo, if you fail, it's on you because it's your destiny.
Right.
And if you want something, you need to get it. Like even if I'm signed to a label, it's my job or my manager's job to push the label and say, this is what we want, because nobody's ever gonna love you more than yourself.
Right. No, you're absolutely right. I feel like even people who are signed to a label, for them to think the label's going to do everything for you, that doesn't happen. Usually you make your own momentum and then the label will step in when they see it's happening and then they support what it is that you're doing. But you still have to always, I think, operate independently.
Yeah.
And then whatever help you get, that's a blessing. But it is your career on you. No one's going to care about what you have going on more than you're going to care about what you have going on.
Straight up. And it's partnerships, and it's so I don't see it as like we never say we've just signed this artist. It's like Empower partner artists. So we partner with Joe Boy, we partner with Major League DJs, one of the biggest piano DJs, producers out of South Africa. We partner with Fave, we partner with King Promise at some point. We partner with loads of producers, that's how we do partnerships. And it's been working. We've been figuring it out, and we've been partnering with like some of the biggest companies per time. Like on publishing, we partner with Cobalt. That's like the biggest independent publisher. So those partnerships, that's what I'll be feeling. And frankly, just move at your own pace, to be honest. Just take it easy, like the name.
Yeah, I see. Well, the name of the new project is The Evil Genius, and this is a first true album because you've done LPs, you've done mixtapes, right? Yeah. And EPs and mixtapes. Yeah. So what made you say now is the time to put out like and what makes this different?
I think this is the most personal music I've made in my life. Like music for me has been like an escape from reality. So vibes, so I be singing about like not stuff that's happening to me. So when I sing in Legova, my baby confused me with her bum. She got a guy who send her money from London. That never happened to me. It's just like vibes, or when I say pour me water, holy water, and all those songs, or like the song with Nicki, oh my God, it's like, it's not real. It's just vibes. It's just a good vibe. But on this album, it was the first time I realized that music could be therapy to myself. So I've met people that say, hey, your song it took me through this time. I was listening to Miss You Bad and it made me feel this way. And sometimes I'd be like, are you serious? Like, I'd be like, oh, wow, this is beautiful. But that's not why I made it. But this time I then saw how music could be therapeutic, but to myself. So I was saying things that I couldn't say. And before I made this album, I'd never done therapy.
Right.
And I realized that things I was saying on the records were things I didn't have the balls to even say to myself. Like on the first track, my mom is on it, and my mom she's religious, she's Christian, and the music I make is not Christian music, and this is the first time she actually puts her voice on my music.
How did you get her to agree to do that?
It's deep. She She didn't know. She sent me a voice note. So my mom sent me.
She may sue you now.
No. She knows now. You know, my mom is a businesswoman, so I had to make sure. She loves me, but she's a businesswoman. So, you know, she sent me a voice note. That's the voice notes that plays in the beginning of the song Oluwajo. And when I fix it in, and the chorus of that song, it's a sample of one of the most popular gospel choruses, like the ones you sing in church. Oluwajo, Wagbe mi soke means, God, please lift me up. God, please don't let me fall. This is a song we always sang in the morning when I was growing up. And so I put it there, and when she heard it, she's like, you're now making gospel music.
She loved it.
She loved it.
And it worked.
Yeah, it worked.
Every morning, honestly, things like that, it's like a manifestation.
Yeah, exactly. And she was so excited, and I said, well, yeah, but mommy, you need to clear it so you don't sue me. She's like, what do you mean I'll sue you? And we sent her the documentation.
You could always have somebody do her voiceover. And then
I could have used AI.
Yeah.
You know, I could have used AI. So on every song. That's why this is different, and that's why I'm calling it an album. Because growing up, I used to see, you know, 27 to 29 was the year I listened to the most music, and that was like mixtapes from Lil Wayne and Drake.
Okay.
You know, and I then saw when they started putting out albums. I saw the thought process behind it, or like I'm a fan of Jay-Z, or see like the way, you know, the Kingdom Come and you know, the rollout, you know, Decoded. And this is the first time I really felt like this is personal enough for me to call it a record, because it's literally a record of my thoughts and experiences for those 3 years.
And you're also getting married.
Yep.
And so I'm sure there's some personal songs about your relationship.
100%. There's 3 parts of the album. The first one is like self-reflection, is bragging. And then there's Panadol, which is cheeky, is talking about sex. And we go from there to the relationship part, but it's not like fairy tale. The first song there is lack of communication. And that day I had, you know, I'm usually the type to be like, I'll be pissed with you and I won't say anything. Like I'll just be giving you the silent treatment.
That doesn't work in marriage.
You know, and I'm a girl that day, she gave me back what I've been giving her, and she wasn't even trying to do it, but I'd upset her so much she didn't want to talk to me, and that just drove me so crazy.
You're like, don't touch me.
Yeah, she didn't even say don't touch me. She's just like, I could just feel it in the air, and I was so pissed. And I went to the bathroom to shower, and I was just thinking about it, and I just got my phone, and I was like, lack of communication now in the cause problem. Like, lack of communication is what causes problem. And in the song I'm saying, baby, if I've pissed you off, let me know. I don't like it when you give me the silent treatment. And from there I send it to E. Kelly. E. Kelly is my producer. He co-produced the entire album. I send it to him, and he quickly sends me back my voice notes on an instrumental. And I go to Kel's house, Kel P, the producer of that record, and we make the song. So it's like real life.
Time,
so
real
I go
things.
from lack of communication to Fefenefe, where I'm apologizing for not being present in the relationship, to Good Loving, where I'm saying, you know, she just wants my love and affection. She wants my presence. To Legalize, where I'm like, okay, let's get married. That's what I mean by legalize. So it's personal in that sense, and that's that part of the album. And the last part of the album is, again, starts with like Who We Dey, where I speak a little bit about the political situation at the time, with police brutality. And I move to the second verse where I'm realizing the blessings I've gotten. I'm out in a jet with my girl, and that's not a flex. I never tried to finesse. I was going for my birthday celebration. I just saw myself like, I'm like, wow, I've grown. I'm in a jet with my girl, and we're going for holiday, and it's not even something I want to post.
Right.
It's just normal to me, and I put that in the record. So that's how personal it is.
That's amazing.
You know, with everything.
And you guys also have a podcast together.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that helps you be able to open up too, because now you're on a podcast talking about everyday things
Yeah.
and communicating with each other,
Yeah.
but also letting the world hear.
Yeah.
What's
and I was
going on.
really scared about the podcast. When
I
she
bet.
said, during COVID, we spent the most time together during COVID. It was the first time we were spending that long. We were
That's
like,
a make or break situation
yeah,
too.
it was like 4 full months of just me and her. Like there was nobody else in the house. So I was seeing her. We were seeing each other every day, and it made me realize how much, how much I love her. And I don't like being with people, period. Like
Right.
I like my space. She likes her space, but we're able to be in the same space. And she's like, "Oh, let's make a podcast." And I was just thinking, the whole world is going to start hearing like how I'm speaking. But we've been doing it at our pace once a year. And it's been fun, yeah.
And the evil genius. So I saw in an interview you had said that sometimes people have this perception that you're manipulative or you're doing things
Yeah.
to get something out of it, not just because you want to help other creatives,
Yeah.
but there's some type of hidden motivation.
Yeah.
Which I didn't know that people would think that, because you have a lot of proof of concept
Exactly.
from. Where do you think that comes from? That,
I think it comes from, and like, just keep mentioning Jesse. Jesse said something today. He was like, he has seen me talk about stuff, and he was there when I started talking about it, and like, boom, it happens. So it then seems like everything I'm doing is super planned and super calculative. Meanwhile, I'm just following the vibe. Like I'm a very follow the vibes guy. But when you're just following the vibe and it's working, then people look at it from outside like a strategy. And so everybody's always thinking, if I come say, "Hey Angela, let's go to Lagos." It's like, why is Eazi saying we should go to Lagos? Maybe Eazi has some deal in Lagos, and he's like, they're always overthinking. Some people overthink when I just say stuff. But beyond that, I just think it's the pressure of, like, I've stayed independent. Like I've stayed owning my own label and not signing to anybody, and even investing in the distribution company that I use their tech. And it's like unheard of. This is the first time it's happening.
right. And I'm sure there's
Africa.
been some huge offers that people have made to you.
Yeah, I've been in the room with some of the biggest names in music, from Solution to Willard of Cobalt to the guys from Republic to like everybody. And I've stayed independent, not because I do not appreciate the value these partnerships will bring, but just because I've just been about my freedom.
Right.
And so it's a big deal. It's a big deal, and I think it's really important for other young people to see that.
Because somebody will throw a money number at you, and like, what's a number that somebody may have thrown at you that might have been like, "Ooh, gotta at least think about it."
I mean, like in sort of like in 2018, I got offered $6 million.
That's hard for somebody to be like,
Yeah,
and especially back.
Yo, Angela, I hadn't even seen 6 million. I didn't even know what 6 million felt like.
Yeah,
But I was just like, okay, the cost to my freedom, or like, am I gonna be able to then give the artists the best deals? And that's why I've stayed independent. I'm always open for partnership. I've partnered with like Colombia, with
Right.
Diplo's label Mad Dissing, with
But at least
Cost
you could
Music,
just step away, and once this deal is finished, no ties.
Yeah, and
to
I
anything.
always put in my deals. I always say, I should be able to pay you back if you give me an advance. There should be a buyout clause.
Okay.
Like, give me.
That's fair.
And that's like balls, because
Yeah.
like I'm just basically telling you that I'm always willing to bet on myself.
So, because some people are like, okay, get as much money as you can up front.
Yeah.
Right. But you're of the thinking, and even with your artists, is let's be more rational and reasonable within a budget, so that you don't have this huge debt over you.
Yeah. And there's the value of just taking the biggest check, man. Like, just take the money. And sometimes I be thinking, I'm like, geez, maybe I should have taken that check. Or sometimes I get into meetings and I'm like, maybe I should just take the check.
Because it has to go through somebody's mind. But a check for $6 million isn't $6 million once you have to break it and bust it all down.
There you go. It's good you're saying that, because like that's the reality. Like it's not like 6 million here.
Yeah, half taxes. Yeah, and then if there's any type of management and
then the deal keeps going. But
and then you have to spend that money on some, like, it's allocated.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's not like money in your bank for you to go spray
shopping.
Go shopping. But I think the most important thing for me is just freedom. Like on this album, I said, I walked through the hotel one day. I was in Cotonou recording the album, and I saw an art piece just hanging on the wall in the hotel, and that was the piece from the Beninese artist Patrick Corel, and that became the cover. He then painted the cover for Legalize, one of the songs on the album, and I just saw it there, and I said, you know what, now we're gonna have a single piece of contemporary African art to go with each song. So each song has a piece that was commissioned for that piece, and the rollout of this album is art exhibitions. We've done Ghana, we've done London, we might do New York later in November,
right?
And then we're also doing Lagos,
and it's all 8 countries from Africa.
Yeah, 8 countries from Africa
that you're representing with these 13 different pieces
male
of art.
and female artists in different stages of their careers. And for a lot of people, it's the first time, like the first exhibition, like 60% of the people there, that was the first time these kids were going into a museum, like
That's
going
amazing.
into a gallery, period. And so they're discovering African arts for the first time. They're discovering arts for the first time, and it's through the African artists. I think there's just something so special about that.
No, I think that's great. So my biggest piece, I bought a Nelson Makamo piece, which was really exciting for me. And then after that, I saw Oprah bought something, from him. But really, art is something that can be a good investment. Sometimes when people are earlier on in their career, you can't tell. But if you love something and it makes you feel something, it's valuable to you.
Yeah, 100%. And for me, like being able to even do that, if I was signed to a record label, they might have told me that's not in your budget, period. Because that's the reality.
You don't even know how much you spent.
Yeah, it's like I'm just like, let's do it. And sometimes I be telling the finance team, don't tell me how much I'm spending, except you see that it's gonna hit the bottom line like crazy. Then they'll be like, they have a come to Jesus moment. Eazi, we want to talk to you. And I'm like, I don't want to hear. But being able to do that, being able to just think it and do it is a blessing. There's only few people in this world that get to see their dreams come true, and I think it's one of the biggest blessings.
No, I think that's great, and I love the idea of doing something that nobody else, because I haven't heard of that being done before. An art exhibition that will be moving to these different different places, different countries, and that goes along with each song.
Yeah.
And so what happens with the art? Do you keep those pieces, or
to be honest, I don't even know.
You're like, I have not thought that far ahead.
I've not. It's like the first one. Somebody came to the first exhibition and it was like, okay, if I want to buy this, how much is it? I was like, okay, I've not thought about it. And he's like, you mean you're doing an exhibition? Like, you've not thought about like
what happens after?
No, we're just going stage by stage. And that's the beauty of it all. And then we decide, by the time we do the final exhibition, we'll decide what we do with it. But for now, the aim is for people to consume the music in a 3-dimensional way. So you listen to the music, and you, like the exhibitions, you put the headphones on, you listen to the music and interact with the art.
That's amazing.
And then hopefully you could feel the energy, and you could see the same energy in the art, the same energy in the music, and you can experience Africa through that way, and you could experience my story through that way. So it's really cool. And
with Afrobeats and Afropop as popular as it is now, I saw with Rema and Selena Gomez, them winning a Grammy for Calm Down. What do you think about people who are not African making Afrobeats and Afropop? Is that still considered Afrobeats if it's, say, I know there's features, but what if somebody that was from somewhere else, what if a white person was
Yeah.
like, hey, this is my Afrobeat song? Is that
Yeah.
still considered?
I mean, like that's a tough one. I've not thought about it, but I've seen like some like music from like Mexico, like from Colombia, like from Chile, even Spain, where I listen, like I hear the beat and I'm like, hey, what song is that?
Right.
And then it's Afrobeat, but you're singing it in Spanish. And there's been some that I'm like, this person
This
really knows how
rocks.
to
Yeah.
write it. And then there's been like some I'm like, yeah, they know if he gets the vibe properly, but I think it speaks to the soft power, the African soft power that's happening right now. And the first time I came into the US, I was watching the TV, and the first thing I saw was like a baby with flies on their face, and that was how a lot of people were seeing Africa. That was the first way of hearing about Africa. Or you're hearing through Boko
The starving
Haram,
kids, and
or terrorism.
Because they used to say that all the time. There's kids starving in Africa. Like when you're young, if you're not eating your food here, they used to say, and then you go
call
there.
it poverty porn.
Right.
But now you're experiencing Africa not through those lenses. You're experiencing it through art. And there's no judgment in art. It's like the most judgment-free place. I can there's talks about, I can say anything in my music and it's art. I can paint, like there's one of the artists on this project, Zingbe, and most of his paintings are like, he paints like balls. And it's like, there's one painting where somebody has tied some balls, and I'm like looking at it.
The balls as in like
scrotum.
Okay, I just wanted
Like
to be clear. Not
ball
like a
sack.
basketball, but you're talking about nuts. Okay.
Like nuts, like nuts.
Okay.
And it's like
they tied him
yeah,
up.
and it's like the guy is in love and his nuts have been tied.
Okay, I understand the thought of that.
Yeah, and I'm just looking at it, and if someone went like
So were they
on
swollen
a press
because they were tied?
Yeah, they were swollen.
Okay.
About to like bust. And if someone went on a press conference and it's like, yeah, so what I'm going to do, what my loved one has done is my scrotal sac has been like tied. You be like, wait, what's going on? But when you see it on a canvas, like there's
Right.
no judgment. You just interact with it, and that's the beautiful thing
I need to see
about
this piece.
I'm gonna show you the
Please,
piece
is there
before I
hair
leave.
also, or is it?
No, there's
Smooth,
no hair.
okay.
It's like you might not even notice that it's balls, but once I saw it, I'm like, this is balls. I never want to talk about balls on this interview.
Okay,
but
I was so confused. I was gonna make sure
it's like,
we
this
were
is a
clear.
balls
I was like,
interview.
what type of balls? All right.
That's Zingbe, legendary artist from Benin. But what I was saying is African soft power is you could interact, you could learn about Africa now through the music, through the art, through the movies, through the people. Madison Square Garden for an African artist, maybe, or whatever, and then you're with African people dancing, and you're seeing real people, not through the lens of.
Oh no, definitely. Seeing Burna Boy, I saw him
Yeah.
at the Garden.
Yeah,
And when I tell you that show was nowhere to move, it was packed.
There you go, and
even having the opportunity to go there,
yeah,
right, to go to different countries in Africa and to see what it's like and the experience is, you'll be like, okay, this is nothing like
exactly
what people. But I also feel like that's been changing a lot. I
Yeah.
feel like decades ago, people saw that, but now it's. We have the movies, we have reality shows
Yeah.
that we could watch on Netflix.
Yeah, I'm
see what it really is like.
You're 100% right, and that's why and I think for me, I'm more open. Like I feel like art should be respectful, but art should build bridges, should connect people, and that's why I made the first Afrobeat Latino song with Come
Bad
On
Bunny.
Baby with Bad
And
Bunny
J
and J
Balvin.
Balvin.
Yes.
And for a lot of people, that's the first time they were hearing that sound, and I didn't even know how big it was.
I
because
love that record.
We made that record in my bedroom in London, and produced by legendary Nigerian producers. And one day I came to New York and I went to some spot. I was at some party, I can't remember, and the song dropped and everybody was
You were like, that's me.
and like nobody even knew it was me. I was like, wow, that's my song, and that's the beauty of it all, And maybe some people heard that and got inspired by that. The only thing I'd say is, like, if you want to actually make an Afrobeat record, you could reach out to the producers.
Right.
There's so many producers. So, like, do it the right way. But there's nothing wrong with being inspired. But I challenge anyone to make an Afrobeat record that they can play in a Lagos club and people still grind to. If you can do that, then... But that's very hard to do.
All right.
Very
and
hard.
I also want to talk about your investments in the tech world.
Yeah.
Because I think that's something that, first of all, I don't even know how you have time to be able to do all of these different things. But you also have a tech company, right?
Yeah.
So talk to me about that.
So I have my fund. It's called Zagada Capital.
Okay.
And this was like me being bored of music. Like after Coachella, like I played the first day of Coachella. I came down from the stage and I felt nothing.
Really?
No happiness, no sadness.
That's a huge deal for artists.
Yeah, and it's like for somebody who never wanted to be an artist. And like I've been doing music professionally, so 17, 18, 19, like 3 years. My third year in my career, I'm playing Coachella.
That was in 2019? Okay.
2019.
Okay.
And I felt nothing, and so for me, it was a sign I would either have to quit music and go do something else, because that's not good. That's not a good feeling to have, or I'd need to pause. Maybe I was experiencing a burnout. And when COVID hit, I sort of it was the first time I paused and just trying to decide, okay, what would be the next move? I had started Empower, so I was getting to understand the music business, but I was tired of even listening to music. So how can you run a music business without listening to music? So I just had my team handle that. And I said, okay, I've always wanted to be an entrepreneur. Now the music has given me the access to people, the access to capital. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to go start my fund like Jay-Z, and what do I know about investing? I'm like, yeah, we're going to figure it out. I knew nothing about music.
This is amazing.
I knew nothing about music. I ended up at Coachella. I ended up like selling out shows across Africa, across the world. So, doing projects with Beyonce for somebody that never wanted to be a musician. So I'm like,
you had 2 songs on her?
Yeah, two songs. I'm probably... I don't know if any other person had 2 songs.
Yeah,
on
I don't
that,
think so.
or how many people had 2 songs on that project. And the producers on those 2 songs were signed to Empower Publishing as well. So it was a 360 kind of in-house thing. So at that time, I'm like, okay, I'm just going to go do entrepreneurship. And from 2020 to 2022, I just like went in. And so started my fund, invested in a payments company that's become one of the biggest payment API companies in Africa, present in over 13 countries. Doing.
How do you just figure that out? Like, how do you, because a lot of things, you're like, okay, I want to do this, but I've never done it before. I don't know how to do it. Like, how do you just figure
by
out?
By just doing it.
Just do it.
You just do it. And when you're using your own money,
right.
If you fail, okay, you failed, and you cry or you learn something.
But if you win, it's a nice big win.
You win. And quickly I done payments, and I was like, okay, I done payments, I done music technology. I invested in Shubs. Shubs is the number 1 platform for buying Afrobeat tickets in the UK.
Sheesh.
And I'm like, yeah.
And it's all tied together, because these things
it all ties together,
yeah.
And through that investment, when Shubs wants to collect payments in Africa, they could collect payments via my payments company. So I invest in stuff that
about 360s
that connects, and now
yeah.
I'm investing in like movies from next year, because we would have our movies, and the music in the movies will be from the music label.
Oh my gosh.
And it will just sync. And when I went to do the Harvard course, I was there for a week, and I was just learning the American ecosystem of entertainment and how big and huge. It was the first time I realized, and I'm like, there's so much opportunity in Africa, and I'm like, this is what I want to do. And music is it's like you go to a bar, you're at the bar, but the music is playing in the background.
Right.
And sometimes the music becomes the loudest thing, but sometimes the music is just there for the vibe.
Right.
And that's how I see my music. My music is there in the room, is present. And sometimes it might be the loudest thing that's making everyone dance, but sometimes it's just there in the background. And I am an entrepreneur, and I've been lucky to have good people working with me and have good success investing in Africa. And I've also, I'm like, okay, I'm also making songs that are playing in Mexico. My song was number 13. My song with J Balvin, Lento, was number 13 in Mexico radio. And I invested in a company that does remittance-based lending for people sending money from the U.S. to Mexico. So if you send money frequently to your family in Mexico, the AI uses that technology to be able to offer loans to your family back home. And it's run by an amazing woman. The business is called Paisa.
Sheesh, there's so much here. I don't even know.
Yeah, he tells me. So I'm like,
this is
if I'm making music, that they're
Mm-hmm.
dancing to in Mexico, I might as well invest. And music, movies, culture, arts, fashion is having its thing. It's bringing Africans in the fold, but also technology is doing that. And so I'm just learning, to be honest.
Wow. And so let's talk about the movies that you've been investing in. So you have some already that are about to, like, talk to me about that aspect.
Yeah, we just have, so my partner runs that, she's,
okay.
So my partner is an actress. She's done 4 titles. Her first ever title became a Netflix original, went number 1 in 13 or 14 countries. Her first ever role as an actress. And then she's had an Amazon Prime thing. She's just finished shooting another one, and then she's done a stage play, and she's gonna be running, the movie production arm, and I'm just gonna be co-producing with her. So I don't wanna. She always says I'm telling people too early.
Would you want to jump in front of the camera too?
I've thought about it. Like, I need to have like an action role.
I feel like you should.
Like, I need to be like the what's the name of Denzel Washington? Like,
you want to be like Denzel
in Equalizer. So I'll be the one like.
I feel like anything you say you're gonna do is gonna happen. Now, tell me about the wedding planning. All right. So when is the wedding?
You're going personal. Come on, man.
Isn't the album personal?
Yeah, the album is personal.
I mean, do you have a date?
Jeez.
Yes, no, maybe.
We sort of like a season.
Okay.
Not a specific date, but we have. I was saying it in our podcast. It's called the How Far Podcast. We were talking about it, and we did let the cat out of the bag to say we had started planning the wedding, and looking forward to it. We're looking forward, and it was been amazing. Is there's so much. It's very our culture, Yoruba culture around weddings is a lot. It's so beautiful. And so having to do that, I remember going to my girl's grandma's 90th birthday. There was like 5,000 people there.
Wow. So this wedding is going to be...
And I was like, wow, that's your grandma. So imagine if like all those people who came, plus my own people.
Plus friends,
plus artists. Geez, we'll be having like a festival.
So
like
yeah, you might as well make it the wedding
people.
festival.
We might as well just. That's true,
the wedding rave.
The wedding rave, and we'll have it in like Madison Square Garden, like.
Put it on the road, and then you got
Somebody call me. Let's make that happen.
Sorry, I did not mean to suggest this. But no, honestly, congratulations for everything that you've been doing.
You.
I mean, I am definitely in awe of how you've been able to come. For some people, and I always feel like the worst disservice you can do to yourself is to not try. And so from everything that you've told me, it's like, just do it and figure it out. And because a lot of times people have ideas and they just don't do anything.
Yeah.
And then it just goes away, or someone else does it, or you think about what you could have done. But it seems like when you have a plan, whether or not you have to tone it down because it might be, too big, and then you have to figure
Yeah.
out how to make it happen.
Yeah.
You've been able to do that, and I think it's amazing to say I want to do this, and then to actually do it
Yeah.
is huge.
Yeah. And sometimes if you sometimes you have a plan, you say you want to do this, and then you what you started out thinking you wanted to do changes.
And that's
just,
fine too.
Yeah, just being fluid with it, because you have one life.
Right.
Really, you just have one life, and so just try.
All right. Well, I love it. Well, the Evil Genius album is out October 27th. Your first official album, definitely not your first project.
Nope.
And the most personal one. So I cannot wait to hear this. And I appreciate us being able to sit down. Is there anything that you wanted to mention that we didn't talk about?
No, I think we ran through it nice.
I feel
nicely.
like, what about this Disney of Africa?
Yeah, it's
I don't want to miss that.
it's like just my idea from doing the Harvard course to, was the first time I realized that Disney was more than the cartoons. I started to see like there's the music label, there's the theme parks, is really entertainment.
Merch.
There's merch, there's
Movie,
there's the app. And in Africa, that's like 54 countries, 1.2 billion people. There's like, I think like 300 million people in America, and there's like 250 million people in Nigeria. There's so much opportunity, and like 60-70% of the people back home are under the age of 30. So you're saying there's a immediate addressable market of like 600 million kids that just love entertainment, sports, and there's so much opportunity. And so, I'm like, that's the next thing to excite me. The prospect of being able to touch sports, which I've started doing by investing in boxing, investing in football.
Oh, boxing's my favorite sport to watch.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, absolutely.
And, when I need to invite you to one of the fights, from boxing to, investing in music like I've been doing, to movies, and just to art, to African art, just African culture. And so that's what I'm looking to do right now with Chop Life. So it's called Chop Life. I have the festival Dirty Rave. Might change the name to Chop Life Festival. Have the music, have the movies. That's what I mean by the Disney of an African Disney, like that cuts across entertainment, and it's a lifetime goal. So it's like now I've been like, oh, there's something I can be doing for my whole life.
He can't sit still.
You can't get bored. Like, how do I get bored?
Right, you cannot. Yeah. And I love that you were rubbing your hands together like an evil genius the whole time.
Yes, and that's the whole thing. It's like, oh yeah, the evil genius is about it, but
just lean into it.
Just lean into it. Just have fun with it. And just go with it and express yourself. So it's a beautiful album for me. It's a very personal album. To me, it was almost too personal, because I was like, why am I saying so much? Why am I pointing out all of this?
Do you go to therapy now, since you said this was like therapy for you?
Yeah, like after this, like I'm like, oh, maybe therapy will not be, if I could dump this. I was like, I could make all my albums now be therapy, but now let me go somewhere where I can dump all of this, because we go through a lot and it's just at the back of our mind, and there's having somewhere to go dump it in therapy, like not just dumping it on your partner or dumping it on your mom and dad, because they also have things they're going through, and having an outlet where you could express that is part of our humanness. There's an adage that says it takes a village to raise a child. It just speaks to community. That's one of the benefits of community, having someone to talk to.
Right.
Yeah.
And thinking about how that, like you said, other people would tell you that certain songs you've done have really touched them.
Yeah.
But it wasn't as personal as this.
Yeah.
Now this is going to hit different.
Yeah,
when people reach out to you and they're like, I just went through that.
Yeah. And that's what I see happening. And I'm just blessed to the point where I feel like my music is also edifying me, because it's been music for other people. I enjoy my music. I play my music a lot, but now it's music for myself. So now when I hear every song, it takes me back to where I was, and I feel proud to have gone through that situation and come out on the other side, which is beautiful.
Which song does the balls painting go with?
It went with Personal Baby. I took that out of the album. So there's a song I dropped called Personal Baby. I think it's the most underrated song ever released in the history of humankind. But yeah, that song is called Personal Baby.
Okay.
And it was interesting that he painted that.
I'm going right to that song.
Yeah, if you go on any platform right now and check out Mr. Eazi Personal Baby.
Yes, right to that song.
Look at the cover art and tell me if you can see that as balls.
I'm going, yes. All right, well, thank you so much. I appreciate it, and I know we'll be checking back in with you. But again, Mr. Eazi, you know, he is the evil genius, clearly, but not evil. But he's just leaning into that name because, you know, why not?
Why not?
Why not?
Why not?
It's Way Up with Angela Yee.
Way up.